I welcome everybody and open this meeting of Central Florida Facilitators. If everybody will release what's in their hands, stand up, join me as the pledge.
You don't want the thought first? You want the pledge first?
Since I'm here, I'll do the pledge.
All right. Okay.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And you may have a seat as we welcome ETM Susan Morgan for our thought of the evening.
All right. Thank you,
Thank
Gail.
you.
Thought for tonight that I thought was nice and would be very apropos for Toastmasters. Consult not your fears, but your hopes and your dreams. Think not about your frustrations, but about your unfulfilled potential. Concern yourself not with what you have tried and failed in, but with what it is still possible for you to do. And that was Pope John the 23rd. And it is now my pleasure to introduce our president, Mr. Stephen Morgan.
Thank you, dear. Hello, welcome everyone. Another meeting of Central Florida Facilitators. That's what we needed for a Wednesday evening, getting over the hump on hump day, right?
Absolutely, yes.
We're called the facilitators for 3 reasons. The old timers remember these by now, right? Or you've forgotten? Which is it? First reason is that we were sponsored by the Central Florida chapter of what was then called the American Society of Training and Development, the premier organization for professional facilitators. The second reason, a good facilitator needs to be a strong communicator and an effective leader. And Toastmasters is all about communication and leadership. The third reason is to facilitate means to make things simple and less complicated. And we want things to be very simple and much less complicated than they already have been tonight. If anyone has any noise-making devices, turn them off or gag them or whatever you need to do to keep them from getting involved before they should. Otherwise, you're going to be the brunt of many of the jokes coming up today. I hear our Toastmaster is eager to get things moving here. Our Toastmaster this evening just loves humor. But she doesn't really give humorous presentations in the true meaning of a humorous presentation. She selected tonight's theme, humor for health and speeches, because she wanted to delve into the topic to better enhance her performance as a speaker. But then her good friend offered to conduct a humorous workshop so everyone could benefit from that research. Nothing like passing the buck when it comes to doing some self-study. So please welcome our club treasurer, charter member of Central Florida Facilitators, and rising humorist, distinguished Toastmaster Gail S.
Thank you, Mr. President. And welcome this evening, everybody. I am your Toastmaster, yes. I took on that role, yes. But I am possibly expecting a call sometime maybe during the evening for a situation that has arisen, and I might not be able to make the whole meeting. So bear with me, we'll make it work. Hello? Okay, all right, thanks. That was my call. So, very sorry, Mr. President. I have you.
The humor never stops. I suppose I should take the opportunity then to introduce our guests, let you stand and tell us what brought you here and what maybe you're hoping to get out of this so we can hopefully fulfill that for you. Beginning first with a returning guest, Gina.
Again, Gina. I'm a member of Omni as well as ACE Advanced Toastmasters. delighted to be here. I've been here many times, and I am here because Toni invited me regarding your humorous speech workshop. It's always fun to laugh together and do what we can. Thanks for having me.
Also visiting a return guest, Toni Nasir.
I'm here for Steve and Susan. So Steve was my mentor in the Lake Mary Toastmasters, and I've seen these two speak on multiple occasions, and I'm always impressed. So, really look up to Steve, who I've had the most experience with, and definitely looking forward to learning from everybody here.
And our first time guest, Diane Lopez. Welcome.
Well, I'm here. I met Gail at a Toastmasters function. My husband started a Toastmasters club at his company, Lee Hecht Harrison, which is a division of VACA.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where I met everyone. And I was interested at the time, just involved in a couple other things, and want to improve my communication ability. So I'm here to learn. And I'm so glad tonight's topic is humor. I'm really looking forward to it.
I was area director over LHH.
That's
so
right.
I hope you
Yeah,
listen.
that's right.
By all means, drag him along here sometime. I'm sure he'd like to see something a little different.
Almost came tonight, but he's at work.
Understandable. Oh, wait a minute.
Move on. Oh. I am
Apparently, our Toastmasters found a replacement. For most of you who don't know KB, after tonight you may not want to get to know her. Too bad you have to get to know her now. Since folks know her as KB, you might want to know about her as your substitute Toastmaster this evening with the best theme ever, Humor for Health and Speeches.
Yeah.
As her apron reads, KB is the political correct way of saying kitchen bitch. Hence the reason KB was asked about doing the humor and health tonight. She professes to know a little bit about speech writing, but Gail said someone named Toni Giddles is doing that. So welcome the dazzling, delightful, and ever rambunctious KB, bringing down some right good health humor to this meeting.
Man, where's the agenda? I know Gail prepared an agenda, and she told me that if she had to leave and I had to fill in, that there might be some holes in the schedule. So let me go over this thing with you guys. Now, understand, I am not a trained Toastmaster. I am simply Gail's persona. This is what she would love to be under this persona. So, I might get a little salty. I might get a little irreverent, but bear with me, hang in there. What do we have here? We do have some holes. So I am just going to designate some people. And I happen to bring some Toastmaster turn-ons for our functionaries. There's buttons on these things. Our grammarian, Sarah Hunt. We're going to turn this thing on. She's going to have this Toastmaster turn-on. So as grammarian, what do you do in these meetings? Inform me, enlighten me.
Hopefully nothing to do with the rolling pin. I didn't want to do one of those. As grammarian, I've chosen the word of the day, which is debunk. So debunk means to expose. Sorry?
Debunk.
Debunk.
Yes. Sorry.
To expose the sham of falseness. So using it in a sentence, my attempts to debunk my young daughter's belief in Santa only ended in her crying for days. Another sentence, your first year of college is sure to debunk your belief that studying is unnecessary. So that's the word of the day. I'll keep track of those that use it, and there's a fine for those that don't use it, but not for the guests. too slow.
I look for colorful imagery.
Thank you, Miss Hunt. Glad to meet you. And this Wizard of Oz, I am very curious what the Wizard of Oz is going to be. And let's see, what Toastmaster turn on can we push this button on? Oh, it's already started. Oh, Julian Koto. Is that you're going to be our Wizard of Oz? What are you going to do?
As our counter, it is my responsibility to keep track of audible crutches such as and double clutches, which is the repetition of a word while the speaker searches for their next thought, which I do very well. It's one of my best skills. I will also note sentences strung together with bridge words like and, or, so, and I will sound a buzzer if I have time when these infractions are heard. And you will also be fined, except for our guests and Toastmasters that haven't given their first speech, 25 cents, right? So the fine for each infraction, 10 cents. Guests and members who have not yet done their icebreaker will not be buzzed or fined. Well, I already said all that stuff. Madam Toastmaster.
What is your name, young man?
My name is Houlihan.
Houlihan, you can make a great sous chef for me sometime. And the timer I had is Gail put down some Julian Koto.
He's not here.
All right, so Toastmaster turn on. You are?
Susan Morgan.
Okay, well take it away, Miss Morgan.
Thank you very much. I am your timer this evening. And one of the skills that Toastmasters practice is expressing a thought within a specific time. As timer, I'm responsible for monitoring time within each meeting segment. I will operate these timing lights and will indicate to each speaker how long he or she has been speaking. For our prepared speeches today, to qualify for voting, speakers must speak not less than 30 seconds under their range minimum and not more than 30 seconds over their range maximum. And I will be turning on the lights at the minimum, the mid-range, and the opposite way, and at the maximum end of the speech. And that is what I'll be doing today. Yes?
You'll be turning them on.
12 to 15?
10 to 12 and then a separate 3-minute section.
Okay, 10 to 12?
12 and 3.
10 to
10 to
12.
12
and 2 to 3.
and 2 to 3.
Right, and then on the agenda we have, what's the supervisor of elections? Let's see.
That's Houlihan.
It's someone from Russia.
Okay, so
Now,
I've understood
I have
that.
a little segue.
Excuse me. K.B. is speaking. This is the turn on, and this is the Toastmaster twerk. Okay, so you can use this as a microphone if you wish.
Your hip replacement didn't go very well. You got to get your money back. I'm going to use this as my
You're as
outcome.
defiant as I am. I like you.
Okay. So as vote counter, I'll pick up your ballots for best speaker, best table topics master, best evaluator, and most improved speaker. I'll tally the results for award presentations at the end of the meeting. And I'll debunk the myth that the vote counter doesn't take donations. I am gonna follow the good example of all of our elected officials who go in flat broke and come out multimillionaires. So I will take donations from the speakers that so choose to give me donations, and I will make my decisions accordingly. You can figure out what that means.
Are you trying to go for some initials? And
I will
IBS?
tally the results. I thought this was, I'll tally the results, presentations at the end of the meeting. I will also pick up comments, and I'll do the best I can to add them up correctly, depending on how the donations go. Madam Toastmaster.
All right. I like the madam, just so you know. And that's a little more class to what a class already is.
Man, the
Now, Gail tried to brief me on all the rigmaroles, and I'm going to try not to debunk all of these rigmaroles this evening. So as you are Toastmaster, first time ever, so be kind, be kind. And I did want to let you know that I have just recently published a book. They will be available on sale at the back. Gail told me, you know, I could do this, but it's entitled, I Can't Be Good All the Time. And it is filled with all sorts of humor and sweetness, even in terms of K.B. For example, this is my sister. It's a picture. I love the bitch in you. She knows me so well. So we'll get on with the meeting and this workshop that I understand with Toni. Which one is Toni?
Right here.
Toni, okay.
So did Gail not tell you how to present?
How to present?
Yeah, what we're going to do today?
Well, we're going to ad lib. How's that?
Okay, well, I'll do that then.
Okay.
Okay, you go ahead. And
Okay.
read that piece of paper there. That's what's next.
Well, and exactly. Gail was really good. She had gotten these introductions from all the speakers, which is always a good thing to be prepared, yes? That's what I was told Toastmasters do. So tonight, Toni Giddles has been studying presentation skills for the past year with some of the most renowned and accomplished professional speakers in the United States. David Glickman is an accomplished comedian and speaker and has shared his tips for punching up a presentation with humor. And Toni is here to share David's best tips. And we have some good news. I know, K.B. arrived. Thank you.
Well,
wait.
It's about me.
And this is her introduction. And we have some good news to share with you for the first time ever today, tonight. Just this last Wednesday, Toni signed her first contract with HBO. It's a good deal. HBO, she pays them $100 a month and gets some of the Game of Thrones presents and tons of movies. So help me welcome tonight's, what is she? Oh, Get Your Audience Laughing With You workshop, Toni Giddles.
Before we start the time, let me explain how this evening is going to work, since Gail just always comes up with an excuse about, you know, just leaving, coming late, leaving, all that stuff. You have, and I don't have it, but you have a handout. And I am the queen of handouts. And to prove it, my printer ran out of ink on me before I got my speech typed up tonight. So, but you have your handout, which is good because that's the presentation. So on page 1 and page 2, I have written out for you the top 10 points that David Glickman would like you to know about. And actually, I chose some of them that I thought were a little easier to understand than what he pointed out. And what I want you to know is you can use these no matter if it's a business presentation, if it's a Toastmaster presentation, if it's a sales presentation. David says this is good stuff. Now, it has to be appropriate to the audience, and we'll address that a little bit later. Now, on the third page is an evaluation. It's a replacement for our regular speech evaluations. And you can see it's, third page? Most, third page? Yeah, page blank. There's some blank spaces. Julian, did you not get a blank?
You have to rip it.
All right.
I got it.
You got it. Okay, so we're going to have 4 speeches this evening. I am going to just give an overview of the workshop, then give you a 3-minute speech, and then we have some other speakers come up. Here is your job, audience, because I want you to get value this evening. I want you to listen really closely for the funny parts and make a note. What was funny? What was the word, the line, the phrase, whatever you have time to write down so we can go back later and discuss it and figure out why it was funny. Because a lot of people are funny and they write funny things, but they don't know why. But maybe we can relate it back to the 10 tips. Maybe not, because there's about 77 tips in David's book. So we're not going to hit all of them tonight. On the back page is a little bio for David. He's really an amazing gentleman. I met him 14 years ago. Prior to him being a celebrity, he is now a super celebrity, has been on stage with Steve Martin and a number of comedians, and is an amazing entertainer. He's really an entertainer, it's not just a speaker. Okay, any questions about that? Okay, y'all just look hungry for information. You can start me now. How many of you have ever said, but I'm just not funny? Me too! And raise your hands if you've ever listened to a humorous speech and said, that wasn't funny. Okay, man is Toastmaster replacement. Fellow Toastmasters and guests. That's the challenge with humor, and that's why people are afraid of it. Would you agree, however, that by reading, studying, and delivering the projects in the basic communication manual that Toastmaster provides, you have learned how to create an effective speech? Yes, you have. Well, let's now debunk the myth about humor. I have some really great news for you. Just as you learn the core skills of speech creation and presentation, you can also learn the skill set that comedians and professional speakers use to add humor to their presentations. Good news, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to think you're funny. And some of us don't think you are either. Now, there are many, many techniques, and as I mentioned, I've selected some of the ones that I could relate to, that I thought, man, those are easy to use, and I think I'm doing some of that already. Now, as a little preface, David Glickman believes that those who have the most success in getting an audience laughing strive to have 3 ingredients in this recipe, Madam K.B. This recipe.
Oh, right. Very
All right.
good.
They are good material, good delivery, and good improvisational skills. Now, that's a whole nother workshop, the improv skills, so I don't want you to worry about that. Not tonight. Not for the audiences that you're probably speaking in front of. However, we had a great example of improv tonight with Julian, who when Gail hobbled up, he said hip replacement didn't turn out too well, and she had a hip replacement. That's like thinking on your feet, and we laughed because we knew that was just funny. He also said he used the word of the day to debunk the myth that the vote counter can't be bribed. You guys laughed. Isn't he funny? Yeah. Yay, Julian, thanks for being here tonight. All right, let's get to the handout. Now these, except for one little portion, is straight out of David's book on the 77 tips to adding funny. So these are techniques of creating humor, or 10 ways to be a laughter crafter. Write the content first. Don't try to be funny when you write the content. Go back, add humor, find the opportunities for humor. The more specific, the more terrific the humor. So let's look at number 1, rhyming and timing. Can you all follow along with me? Rhyming makes people smile. It's something you've already heard. Who knows where we used rhyming? Laughter. Our guest! 10 ways to become a laughter crafter. And titles are a really good place to use that rhyming. And not a couple of other examples. The Disaster Master, the Pollution Solution. Come up with your own, depending on the audience. You can kind of make fun of the association or the audience. Come up with something really clever. 2, slightly altered quote. For example, you've all heard about the early bird, right? Well, the early bird always catches the $5.95 dinner special. Okay, got some laughs. That was good. These are big. Can anyone think of something for the next one? An apple a day.
Brings the KB today.
Brings the KB today. Oh, you gotta laugh, I think, out of pity. Okay, good. But that gets you thinking. I want to get you thinking a little. It's hard for us to think on our feet because we're not experts. All right, brand names. Number 3 are funnier than generic names. Now, this doesn't sound real funny, but in a speech, it has a larger impact. And you know this from your Toastmaster training. The more detail, the more people visualize. So it's that idea. So here's David's example. So there we were, sitting at the Dairy Queen in our formal wear. It's funnier than, so there we were, sitting in the ice cream shop in our formal wear. Right? Does that land a little different? Yeah, it's funnier. So Skippy is funnier than peanut butter. Captain Crunch is funnier than cereal. You get the idea there. Now David says if you're looking for rocket science, this one is not rocket science. This one is just plain simple. Got it?
Got it.
Okay. So you can start using that one right away. 5, odd numbers are funnier than even numbers. David says he has been getting laughs from audiences for over 30 years, and why this one works is still a mystery to him. He doesn't get it. He said, give me the same line, you'll get a bigger laugh by saying, we drove around for 11 hours before I'd asked for directions. We drove around for 10 hours, doesn't get the same laugh. He doesn't know why. Just do it. Make up a new ride at an amusement park. Number 6. So you got to consider your audience, what town you're in.
Excuse me, but you said odd numbers are funnier than even numbers, so you skipped number 4?
Oh, did I?
That was funny.
So, I don't have a number 4. my printer didn't work. Okay. Thank you. That's actually adds humor to pretend you made a mistake. Number 4, poking fun at outdated, this is one of my favorites, at outdated things in relation to younger audience members. Happens to me all the time. Now this was my example, not David's. My dad actually went out to Las Vegas. He was in his 60s, late 60s, decided, I'm going to take a long vacation, the business should run itself, and he brought a fax machine with him. Okay, well, it was in 1989, fax machine. Oh, some of you don't know what that is. Well, that was how we used to send documents before email. So, it's funny, right? You guys were good. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was cool how you did that. That was like improv, K.B., to throw that in. I'm a quick learner. That was great. Okay, make up, number 6, can I go to number 6? Make up a new ride at a new amusement park. So, instead of Pirates of the Caribbean, Lawyers of the Caribbean. See, you found that funny. Okay, that's David's. 6 Flags Over Texas, 6 Flags Over Anxiety, or whatever seems appropriate. Take a theme park, create a new name. Can Can anyone think of something in their head that might be appropriate to our area? Or to a company that maybe you speak at? Got you on the spot. Okay, we'll get back to that later. Yeah, that's
The
her.
happiest place for girth.
For girth, the happiest place. I like it. Yes, you got laughter. You get a point. All
I
right.
had to think of the word for a moment.
There. Okay, turn a word into an acronym. But it has to be a word that makes sense to your audience, something maybe that's in their professional, in their profession that you're speaking before. So for example, Cigna, spell it out, C-I-G-N-A. You know what that means, right? Called in, got no answer. Jerry, thanks for coming. You are such a good audience member.
What about oops?
But yeah, give me oops.
Oops. I was a member of a storytime group, Ohio Order for the Preservation of Storytelling. Oops.
Oops. There you go. Number 8, quoting pop culture names as great philosophy. So you're always Googling for quotes to make your talk seem really amazing. So how about this? Something that's out of context. But you have to deliver the line very seriously. Let's say you make a really important point in your presentation. And then you say, and this is a point that most people agree with. I think it was the great philosopher, Fred Flintstone, who said, yabba dabba doo. Okay, one of the things about delivery is seriousness is important. Sometimes pausing is important. Gail watched my humorous line of my intro because, it could have been smoother. Yeah, you remember that? Yeah, Julian's nodding. Yeah, he agrees with me. Okay, all right. So anything that switches from the context of what you're talking about can really add funny. All right, rule of 3. We've all heard of the rule of 3 in Toastmasters. Similar rule of 3, and this is one of my favorites. So the essence is, in the first 2 things that you name, it's perceived as normal. It's what you want to convey to the audience. But when you name the 3rd thing, it's way off track. So here's an example. And this is different in writing. It doesn't always work in writing. But there's a rhythm with the 3 items, as you already know. And this is from David. I remember when I first started in this business years ago, I had dreams. I had hopes. I had hair. Got it? Changes everything because people don't expect that. So there's another example because I like this one. One day, we're hoping to open offices in several major cities. New York, Los Angeles, Okeechobee. God, that's a good one. See, that was one of my favorites. All right, and number 10. That's French for. I love this one too. For example, if you're at the Anatole Hotel delivering a presentation, you can say Anatole is a French word that means vastly overpriced. You select the language that sounds closest to what the foreign sounding name. You could say it's great to be here in the Mojave Apache room. Mojave Apache is an old Native American term that means very ugly wallpaper. Hope you enjoyed that meal. That was linguine Alfredo, which is Italian for we went cheap on the dinner menu. All right, I got some laughs. I'm happy. Thank you. We're going to go to the next section now. So, did you learn something? Got some value there? Took some notes?
Yes.
Got your brain thinking? I've got a treat for you. I think. I call it, yeah. It's a treat, yeah. I'm pretty sure. Okay. I am going to deliver a 3-minute speech. It's got some funny in it. I'm going to have you listen to see what you thought was funny. And also, if any of you, Mr. Julian, you might be able to do this, think of what could be added to make it funnier based on some of the points that I presented. Ready? Clear? You know, and we'll just have a little conversation. Okay, I'm gonna take the red light off. It's off. And this is from a long time ago, so I didn't have time to read it. All right. 15 years ago, my mother suffered a serious illness and almost died. But she didn't. Die, that is. She lived. She seemed pretty happy about it. On the other hand, I wasn't so sure. You see, Mom was never quite the same. She lost her independence, and I became a caregiver. My life became a crazy version of a bad nightmare. You know that movie, Groundhog Day? That one. You know what a caregiver is, right? You heard of Driving Miss Daisy? Y'all heard of Driving Miss? Movie reference? Well, I was driving Miss Maisie. Mom's name was May. I was errand boy, entertainment director, and took her to doctor's appointments. I oversaw her financial, her legal, her business dealings. I was her healthcare advocate, medication manager, did laundry, gave her showers, fed her, and took care of the dog. Let me see, is that all? Oh, the hours, 24/7. The salary. You're kidding, right? Here's her salary. Health insurance benefits. You're still kidding, right? There's no benefits. Yes, yes. This was the worst job ever. After a while, Mom got demanding and insensitive. She was downright unpleasant. Like the time I showed up for a visit and was greeted by, "Why took you so long? The food is lousy here. I'm hungry. Get me a cup of coffee and a donut. I need a pain pill. I need this. Do that. Do this." Nag, nag. I was hating this. You would hate it too, right? You would? Yeah, I was hating it. It was awful. I never felt such anger and resentment and feared expressing my true feelings. My love for my mother was, well, let's go on. Then I had this great idea. I'd quit my job as a caregiver, right? That's it. I quit. Then I remembered. Not an option. Only child. Several weeks passed. One day I was not my usually cheerful self. Mom actually noticed I was upset. Yeah, well, I made it pretty obvious. "You don't look happy," she said. "What's wrong?" "Okay," she asked, right? I paused to gather my thoughts and looked over my left shoulder to make sure we were alone, because I knew what I was about to say wasn't going to be pretty. I looked her straight in the eyes. I looked her straight in the eyes. I took a deep breath. "Are you kidding?" I screamed. "You're what's wrong. My life is what's wrong. You're a pain in the ass." Mom glared at me. I stared back at her. I glared. She stared. Then she nodded in the sweetest mommy voice in the whole world. "I am a pain in the ass. Think I don't know that?" Oh my goodness. Did Mom just agree with me that she was a pain in the ass? Oh my gosh, I think she did. Thank you, Mom. Best job ever. Okay. Well, you were so, yes, you were. And you were so involved with me, I didn't see any writing. And that's fine, because we'll probably need to move on. But any comments? Anything that stuck out? Any observations? Anything you want to share with the group that you liked? Yeah, K.B, you want to participate in this? Of course. Well, of course. I think that'd be all right.
Amateurs.
Amateur. Oh, that's okay.
Thank you. Well, Miss Toni, yes, I totally enjoyed this speech where you were able to take the entire subject of caregiving and how it's really such a burden, but you made it humorous. And I want to get under your care.
Oh,
When I become
okay, well,
just like your mother.
yeah, well, I charge a minimum of $500 an hour, and, but we can talk. I mean, you look very successful, you have a book.
I can date,
So,
I can date.
I'm in. All right, Julian.
I have a couple of suggestions.
Okay.
I think you went a little too fast.
I did get the time.
You know,
On purpose,
you
yeah,
went a
thank
little
you.
Too fast. There were
Except for the sections.
there are certain parts that you should have stopped and give a long pause and maybe give us the look.
Okay,
You
good.
know, make some facial expressions
Good.
without saying a word.
Got
You know,
it.
like Jack Benny.
Yeah, gotcha.
Jack Benny didn't have to say a word.
Y'all know Jack Benny, right? Yeah. You know,
Right?
well.
There's this relating to the younger people thing. I'm relating
It's
to,
another generation that you wouldn't
to my
understand.
generation. But you know, Jack Benny was famous for that. Without uttering a word, the audience was just cracking up, rolling on the floor.
I thought the look you were talking about was maybe the look your wife gives you when you say something.
That could work. That could work.
Okay, well, David actually evaluated that 3-minute portion of my speech. So I thought it would be fun to share with you his punch-ups, partly because some of them don't work for me. They're clever, but depending on the audience and the content, it could not, you know, you have to, well, one of the things he says is, if you're not comfortable with what you're gonna say, do not say it, because the audience will know you're not comfortable. So when you're dealing with humor, you add it only if you feel it's funny or you've actually tested it. He said tested 3 times. So at the beginning, I said, Mom never lost her, she lost her independence. Oh, what's that word? Oh, I became a caregiver. Yeah, so I didn't think that was funny. Now, do you know what the word redrum means? I bet Stephen does. I didn't get this. I had to look it up. It's murder spelled backwards. And it has a very sinister meaning from Stephen King's The Shining. And I'm like, I don't think so. But I loved his next one. You heard of driving Miss Maisie? Well, I was driving Miss Maisie, and she was driving me crazy. Got that one? That one's easy, rhyming. And I used that in a presentation. And I got my laugh. It was so cool. Then I fed her and took care of the dog. And he added, or maybe, somewhere I mixed this up. Fed her, took care of the dog, or maybe I took care of the dog and fed, I don't know. I'm lost again. Reading this to you. All right, the hours, 24/7. He added, sometimes 24/8. It seemed like someone threw in an extra day there. I was like really exhausted. Salary? You're kidding. There's no salary, kind of like an internship from hell. We're probably not gonna use that one. Like the next one though. So Mom was like, do this, do that, get me this, get me that. And that was when she was in a good mood. Nag, nag, nag. My love for Mom was rapidly deteriorating faster than the career of a Yellow Pages salesman. All right, everybody got that one. Even Sarah was fine. I was going to quit, but I'm an only child. Even my imaginary friend wasn't willing to help. Boy, you like that better than that? Okay, I'm going to use that one. All right, and then before I get all upset with Mom and yell at her, and then I just calmly said, "Are you kidding?" Mom glared at me, I glared, she glared, I stared, and then he added, glare, stare, glare, stare, glare, stare. I don't know how he meant to say it, but were we at a standoff? Were we going to have to solve this with a round of rock, paper, scissors? Machete? Yeah. And then the last one was and I didn't say this line, I stopped because of time. The tension, all the upset was gone, we started laughing, and he wrote, vanished, just like the money I invested with Bernie Madoff.
But that's a different story.
Okay, good?
What was the beginning?
Yeah.
The beginning that you said
It's right on the tip of my tongue. Oh, did you not know that? Oh, I'm sorry.
oh, no, I didn't.
Okay, that's my time. Now, for the rest of the meeting, I'm gone, I'm out of here. KB, can you stay? No, all right, I'll stay. You wanna take over? Do you know what we're doing now?
Hey, like I said, Gail was organized. She got intros from the upcoming
All right,
speakers.
Madam K.B.
Hey, listen,
I
like
return the
applause,
lectern to
but
you.
Let's give it
Okay.
up for
Okay.
Ms. Toni. So if I understood this right, just to reiterate, these other speakers that are on the agenda, they're supposed to basically do the same thing, a 2 to 3 minute speech, then you take notes, you ask for
Right down in
your humor, where it could possibly change, yes? Okay. Are all the 3 speakers, are they on board with this?
Madam K.B.,
Or-
I ran my mouth a little too long again this evening, so there's a speaker that's asking about the amount of time that he has.
2 to 3 minutes for the speech, and what Gail put
Some
on the
people thought it was
agenda,
5
minutes for evaluations?
Well, there's no, we didn't, I don't know what happened to Gail. She was out late last night. She told me she didn't return my call.
Yep, she told me the same.
Didn't add really time for the evaluation portion, so, you know,
Okay.
that's Gail, you know.
There's time in, sir, for 3 minutes for evaluations, she said. All right, let's move on.
Can you do that?
And we'll try to get out of this oven. Wow.
Okay.
The prolific speech contest competitor, our next speaker has performed worst in the humorous speech contest. As he describes it, he can be funny spontaneously, but when he tries to get a laugh, he falls flat on his face. Here to plant that face yet again with a second speech on level 1 of Presentation Mastery Path. Please help him distinguish, that's Toastmaster Stephen Morgan with the bright idea.
Everyone loves their siblings, right? Except for Toni, because she has none. I have 2 younger sisters. One is 2.5 years younger than me. That one is Laura. The other one's 7 years younger than me. That's Joni. Joni and I are like this huge generation gap. It's like we could barely understand each other even if we tried. But of course, I'd known Laura longer. When I went off to college, she got to be the old one, the adult child, I suppose, of sorts in the household. She got the bright idea one night. She'll go sneak out, visit her boyfriend. Probably would have helped her to think this idea through to the end, because the most important thing about sneaking out is what?
Sneaking.
Don't get caught! She'd seen me do it, or knew I had done it, knew that it could be done. She thought she could just go off and get caught. No, her boyfriend's parents ended up calling my parents to ask, where is their daughter at that moment? She wasn't at home. But they were ready for her when she got home, and she was upset. She was upset because I got away with it. But these ideas apparently run in the family. And there are so many crazy things you do as a kid. Our mom had a different experience. She grew up on base in Japan, post-World War II. It was interesting in that they had their servants there, the household help. They couldn't pronounce her name because her name was Carla, and they can't pronounce R. You can't sneak out when you're living on base. Everyone knows who you are and where you belong. Her childhood in many ways probably was a little bit stunted. Therefore, when she had kids of her own, it became time to figure out maybe it's her opportunity to see what kids can do. She got the bright idea, we should do horse riding lessons. A little suburbia for us here. That would probably have been helped if she thought that idea all the way through to the end, because that meant finding horse rigs. That meant finding these long winding country roads to get to the places where you'd have to go. They're not country roads anymore. This is Northern Virginia. The place is a city now. But back then, 2-lane road, winding around, you have to figure out where you're going. And we ended up only with ponies in the end, sadly. One day we're driving off to our horse riding lessons. We're driving down the road, we see a turtle along the side of the road. You know, us as the kids, we love picking up those animals. My mom got the bright idea, how about we stop and go pick up this turtle? We can take it home. Probably would have helped if she figured this idea all the way through to the end, because she got over to the side, had me go out and pick up the turtle, and I'm about 12 at this age. I come out to pick up the turtle, to pick it up. By the way, we were riding in a Toyota Tercel hatchback. So I had to open up the hatch, I had to pick it all the way up to put it in. And then off we go. Then you're thinking, how are we going to feed this? Where are we going to put it? What is that smell? And my time has run out for now. Ms. Bitch.
Okay, now, who dares to critique that or add more humor or less humor? Okay, Ms. Toni.
Your first line, everyone loves their sibling, right? Was enough. You didn't have to, audience participation is good sometimes, but that was your laugh line, right? Didn't you guys, because that was the reaction. The horse riding, I think that was meant to be a laugh line, but you didn't quite set it up so that I got it. So, about the country. So I would just do something there because it was funny. You had to look for ranches and horses and that kind of thing. And the turtle, what was that smell? In fact, you had 3 things. You had the use of 3, and the last one was what was that smell? So that was awesome. Anybody else?
Oh, I was going to say, in the beginning, I thought that your intro set up your talk nicely because you talked about falling on your face and then a face plant and then planting ideas, and I love that sequence.
Okay.
I would do more with your face, Stephen. More facial expressions. So for example, in the beginning, when you talked about, everyone loves their siblings, right? I would pause and just do like some facial expression of, disgust at someone's sibling or something like that, just to really emphasize the point of stereotypically we don't get along with our siblings.
I really liked the line, everybody loves their siblings, and then the fact that you paused and said, except Toni, because she has none. It made me laugh.
I was just playing off it because I knew it was there. Okay. I think I've been properly roasted.
Okay.
Certainly more
We're going to take him out of the oven. He's done.
Does the AC work?
No.
It doesn't seem to be working very well.
Wow.
But thank you for noticing, John, how hot I am.
Improv! She's on fire tonight!
You've been trying to turn it on all night, Gail.
And she's got the loose hips to go with it. Loose hips sink ships.
I like that rhyme. I'm going to write that in my book.
Put my picture on it.
Yeah. Okay. Jerry Smith, DTM, is a member of the Weekend Toastmaster Club, the ACE Club, a member of the Seminole County's Advanced Toastmasters Club, and a member of the Storytellers of Central Florida and the Florida Storytelling Association, where he serves as a member of the board of directors. No wonder he wrote. He's also a proud retired immediate area director 42. And so glad that Julian Cotto took the job. Jerry has won and placed in several club area and division humorous speech and tall tale contests. He recognizes the importance of humor in public speaking. Jerry has always wanted to be funny. He just never planned on being funny looking. He is delivering an Area 43 winning speech, mirror to us today for our discussion. He adds these insights to his speech for you. Mirror, mirror on the wall, I offer thanks and apologies to Disney and Snow White, and by doing so, I also acknowledge that the wicked queen in the story is not the first or last person to hold a conversation with the mirror. Help me welcome distinguished Toastmaster Jerry Smith to the Red Light District.
I never planned on being old. I don't mean I thought I would die young, I just didn't plan on being so old looking as I aged. Aging is like puberty for senior adults. The body's going crazy, you don't always know what's wrong with you, and the brain doesn't always work. Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, some of you will understand what I'm talking about when I talk about aging. And some of you would wish that you didn't. And the rest of you, you have no clue. But trust me, aging waits for no one, and it came far too quick for me. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's that old geezer staring back at me? Now, my wife wanted me to say, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest one of all? But I said if I did that, this story would be about you and not about me. At least that's what I wish I'd said. Now, I look in the mirror and I have a conversation which beats me just talking to myself. And I see that those same hazel eyes, but where did I get those bags? Sometimes I think it's my dad staring back at me, but I know it's not him, because he still had his hair. Mirror, mirror on the wall, I never planned on being bald. Of all the things I've lost, I miss my hair the most. Don't get me wrong, I still grow hair, Sarah. Out of my ear and my nose, but not from the top of my head. One day I looked in the mirror as I was in my car in bright sunlight, looked in the mirror and saw long white hair growing out of the earlobe. It was thick enough to be measured. I wondered, why did my wife tell me? Susan, I knew she had seen it. She misses nothing. And so I asked her about it, and she showed me her calendar. She'd been marking off each day that it went unnoticed. I know what you've noticed. He doesn't look that old. And you're right. You're right, I'm only 35. In mental years, mentally my wife says I'm still 16 because I only think of one thing.
Yeah.
And you guys know what that is, the S word? Sports. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Please don't ever see black knee-high socks and shorts on me. Now, at my age, I still dress myself, but I don't always get it right. And I would ask my wife for her help, but after the long white hair debacle, I know I can't trust her anymore. One day, I had on 2 different socks. One was blue, one was brown. And another day, I was wearing 2 different shoes. One was a lace-up, and I had it tied, and the other was a loafer. But at least they both were still black. Mirror, mirror on the wall, give me a shout if I black out. Sometimes I'll black out in the memory department. If I forget your name, it's age.
If I forget your face, it's age. If I forget your gender, confused. Sometimes I forget to zip the fly. And if I forget to zip the fly, please let me know. Give me a sign like you do in the game of baseball. Just don't let me go around all day unzipped. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten in the car. I've left the house to get in the car, get out of the car, go back in the house for something I forgot. It could happen 3 or 4 times. My neighbors have turned it into a drinking game. If I go out of the house and get in the car, they take 1 shot. They've got the shot glasses and the alcohol by the front window. If I get out of the car and go back in the house, it's another shot. And for each time I do that, if I go down the street, return in less than 5 minutes, they take 3 shots. I think I've turned my neighbor John into a lush.
Well, that, awesome. We'll take him out of the oven too. Hey, but you're gonna stay up here and you're gonna warm off, cool off.
Yeah, I took my shirt off. I was thinking about taking it off.
Hey, Jerry.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
Be surprised, Gail. That's a true story.
Gail, she's not here.
I'm sorry.
K.B.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, K.B.
Classy baby.
Yeah.
Okay, are there any comments for Jerry to what humor tips, techniques?
I got a couple comments. I don't know if it was the timing, but it sounded like you were rushing through the story. If you slow down, same thing with Toni. Slow down, pause, facial expressions, take more time.
Yes, I did rush it because
because you had really funny stuff going on there. A lot of the things that Toni talked about were going on in your speech. The rushing just kind of, you stepped over your humor.
You're right.
In a lot of places. That's but it was a great story, and I think you incorporated a lot of humor techniques that we learned tonight.
Thank you.
Well, you used the 3 and the misdirect at the end. You did that several times. It is clever. It's fun to hear it, in these examples. So
it's probably the easiest humor, isn't it?
I think so. I think it, it makes sense, and I think it's easy to come up with. And the rhyming, which you had with the mirror, which was always, it was like, what's he gonna say now? Because it has that pattern, that just rhythm to it. So even if it's not hilarious, it's funny, it's enjoyable, it's entertaining, and it's funny. Now you said your wife had been marking the calendar?
Yeah.
That was cute.
And my wife uses a paper calendar, a little notebook. And so
that was
that was actually one thing in the whole
unexpected.
story that wasn't true. I threw that in.
Well, because it was funny.
Yeah.
That was great.
Everything else.
Okay, yeah, good job.
Stephen.
When you're going to talk to the mirror, take the same position. Hold the mirror the
I
same
should,
way.
and I'll rush that.
Especially if you do it, because after you've done it a couple times, then we know where you're going the moment you start moving there. That's your transition, becomes your segue. You don't have to do anything more. If you want to make a fun visual gag with it, get a mirror, and I don't mean a handheld mirror, get a mirror, pick it up one, and one that's got like cracked glass.
Oh my God, that's,
The crack. I like the crack.
Props,
Yeah.
You broke the mirror down.
Originally, I had actually created a mirror, a large mirror that I was going to bring and have on the stand, but someone said, just pull your hand up.
Well, if you wanted to go for that, that would be well.
The crack glass would be funny.
that would be good.
I love that.
Oh,
Yes.
I really liked it. I liked the content, and Toni already said, and this is what I wrote, it was very clever. And I think you debunked the mystery of age.
Wow.
All of us.
Very good.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Organized.
It's hard being a Toastmaster, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah,
Somebody get
challenging.
this one in
You
application.
guys are tough. You're tough. The KB needs an application. We have a phonetic spelling for this name. Tick-a-son. Gina, Tick-a-son. Tick-a-son. Oh, it could be French. It could be Chinese. Cool. Gina Tick-a-son is practicing a portion of professional presentation today. Her speech is geared toward those who care for aging members and those who work in the healthcare field. Thank you. You understood your audience today. Gina is Distinguished Toastmaster and a former Division D Director. Help welcome Miss Gina Dickinson as she presents Time with Jack.
I have to set the stage for you. I was a private caregiver taking care of Jack, who is 96 years old. Now, Jack has dementia, so if you don't think crazy is funny, every day was funny. Every day also had challenges. I want to share a little bit today about just one of our ordinary days and how I overcame the challenges that presented me that day to help you as well. So let me set the stage. Okay, we have Jack, and we are in the assisted living center, and his family is coming over. He has 9 children. He took that whole Irish Catholic thing very seriously. 9 children and loving family, and that's great. And we have 3 different couples are coming over, and they are coming over to share pizza dinner outside on lanai by the pool. So Kathy and her husband can tell us all about the cruise that they just came on. Sounds like a great idea for a family gathering, right? Okay, well, you need to know Jack takes about 35 pills a day. Therefore, he can only take family in small doses, right? And I understand where he's coming from because I love my family as well. But to tell you the truth, my husband's mother-in-law drives me a little crazy. Wow, let's just sink it in. Yeah, okay, we all know. So we know what family is like, right? Okay, so the family's coming over. Jack has mobility issues, so most of the time he's in a wheelchair. So we wheel out by the patio, and Kathy's going to start talking all about the cruise. And Jack has his pizza there and a styrofoam cup, and we're all good. And then all of a sudden, Jack is his own Meals on Wheels, and he is just rolling around. He does not want to be by his family. He has had enough of them, but you can't say, go home, Jack has enough of you, because they are the family, and I am just the caregiver, right? So I let Jack roll around a little where I can see him, and I follow him when I need to. And Jack comes back to the table, and he starts tearing apart the styrofoam cup. I'm like, Jack, what you doing? He's like, here, I need you to wedge this at the strap of the back of my shoe. Okay. So Jack is wearing Crocs. You know what Crocs are? They're sandals. They're sort of like this. Crocs are plastic shoes, which is important when you have a 96-year-old person who could be incontinent at times, right? So Jack is wearing his Crocs, and he wants me to wedge this in the heel of his shoe. And I'm like, okay, Jack, why? Why do you need this in your shoe? He's like, so it doesn't slip when I'm on the ladder. What ladder, Jack? Where are we going? He's like, you know, when I go back to my room. And I'm like, okay, but we're all on one level. What ladder are you talking about? And he's like, you know, the ladders on the ships. And then I had to think that through really quickly in my brain. We're dealing with a dementia patient. How do you deal and connect with a dementia patient? You have to join them in their reality, whatever that reality is at the moment. You have to own the relationship and figure out how to connect to get through whatever the issue is, and you have to yield to the person deep inside. Jack, deep inside, he was a firefighter, he was a fire chief, he was a father of all these children. He was very safety conscious. He was a Seabee in the Navy, and we were talking about Kathy's cruise. Do you understand? Jack transported himself, and instead of the assisted living center, we are in his ship, and his shoe is gonna fall off, and I need to help him. It's as simple as that. We need to remember
remember, Father knows best. Give the guy a rest.
Okay, so for Miss Gina Tikkason, what suggestions and what techniques did you observe her using, and some suggestions what she could change up on Jack's nimble candlestick?
Well, the last line was beautiful. Again, it's rhyming, and it was clever, and it referred to a reference that most of the audience did can relate to. The Irish Catholic thing, very seriously, that was clever. I like that. And it did take me a while to get my husband's mother-in-law to that was quite a misdirect, and he waited. That what was good about it was that she waited. Now, I don't know if everybody got it, because you can explain a joke. That can be part of your thing.
Maybe raise your hand if you got it. Did you? Yeah, I think most everybody did.
My husband's mother-in-law is my mother.
That was
It drives me crazy. Yeah.
that's what I got.
That was
Good job.
Anything else?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Wait, just time here.
Oh, yes.
So I thought the pause after husband's mother-in-law was perfect, because when it's quick, we just think, okay, mother-in-law, right? That's what our automatic goes to.
Right.
And then when we could process it, it was just, I mean, it's hilarious. Did you use an acronym? Was it CB on the ship? Is that what you said?
Oh, he was a CB. It's actually a Navy term from World War II.
I didn't know what
In
that
the
was.
construction battalion. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I could just say Navy if it's confusing.
Or maybe you can throw something in like that. You know,
Like
use
an acronym.
the acronym or a name of something and say, you know what that stands for. That would be cute in there somewhere.
Okay.
Especially if you turn around and go, I have no idea.
Yeah, that would be funny too. Great.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wasn't that fabulous?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't even
Fabulous.
scale. I guess.
I will tell her. K.B.
Don't
should
tell
come
her.
more often.
Yeah.
Don't tell Gail anyone.
No, I'm telling you.
And on this agenda, we have a timer's report. What's a timer's report? Juwan? Susan
Morgan.
Oh,
Yes, we have a timer's report.
Okay.
Toni is supposed to speak 10 to 12 minutes. She spoke 12 minutes and 42 seconds.
Ooh, really?
So she was a little over,
Ooh, not bad.
but not by a lot. And then her 2 to 3 minutes was 3 minutes and 39 seconds.
Okay.
Again, a little over, but not too
We're
bad.
kind of guessing.
And all of our speakers thought that they needed a little extra time. And Stephen was 3 minutes and 44 seconds, Jerry was 4 minutes 15 seconds, and Gina was 4 minutes and 3 seconds. So we did all of that. And
Gina
that's
was
my
how
report.
much?
4 minutes and 3 seconds.
Does that mean I win the speech contest? No ballots have to be written up. Or do you want to do that anyway? I mean, K.B. can set the rules here. What do you guys want to do? You want to
Enter the
vote?
humorous speech contest
You
next
want
month.
to vote? Okay.
Oh, easy there, girl.
Let's not break another head.
Let's do that. Let's do that. That felt good. The general evaluator this evening has been a Toastmaster for 112 years. Whoa. She's been a member of 3 clubs. During her time in Toastmasters, she has served as a club officer, an area governor, a division governor, fall conference co-chair, area director, and currently, I think she likes Toastmasters. Currently, she is Division I director. She's very excited about being here this evening and sharing her thoughts, her opinions, her views, her perspectives. Help welcome distinguished Toastmaster Susan Morgan.
Thank you very much, K.B.
Welcome.
All right.
Woo, let's
the general evaluator usually has a couple of different responsibilities, and one of them is to introduce the evaluators, of which you all are, and you already did your jobs. So I don't have to introduce you anymore. I'm really happy about that. The second part is to get our reports from our functionaries. And we also already got our timer report, so that's good. Now let's find out how we did with our Wizard of Oz, Mr. Julian. Was it
Hooligan over there. All right. Gail Hill-Smith, 1 double clutch. For all the talking you did and all the bitching, you did well. Toni Gittles, 5 Oz and Ohms, 2 double clutches, and 1 like and so. Stephen Morgan, I didn't hear any. Jerry, I didn't hear any. Gina, I heard 2 likes and so's. Heidi, I had 3 Oz and 2 double clutches. And that's my report, Madam.
And hopefully she won't debunk this whole report. Sarah, how did we do on our grammar?
I noted not really specific grammar, I never know much of that, but just most of the funny phrases I think were acknowledged. So I'll say a couple because I'm hard to please in the area of humor. I don't find very funny because I'm not funny. I got a very dry sense of humor, being British. So I don't get most of what even was said. So I'll just put that out there. So I'll note a few things. So I'll start with Stephen. The happiest place for Girth was something I thought was fun. Toni driving Miss Maisie is quite adorable knowing that your mum's name's May, and I'm sure that's been used over and over again and becomes kind of part of the family name. Julian, I think your best line was Gail's hip replacement didn't go through. She was moving towards you, and Houlihan's a fantastic name. Reminds me of restaurants. Houlihan's is not around anymore. John didn't say much, but I was bloody sweating in 5 minutes like a sauna, and after an hour, he says, I feel a bit warm in here.